Hey, Davis.
Hey, Ro.
You're a little irritable today.
Yeah, man, a little bit, yeah.
What's going on, man? Tell me about it.
So, for the record, I just want everybody to know that I have not projected my irritation towards my lovely co-host here today.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
It's all percolating into the ether. Yeah. There's places I can direct it, but not at you.
No, it's all good.
We're cool.
Yeah, no, and to be honest with you, it's okay to be frustrated. Like,
Yeah.
Even if you take it out on somebody who doesn't necessarily deserve it, I think in a good relationship, and if you haven't done a ton of harm in that moment, you should be able to apologize and admit that you're a little upset, and just hopefully both parties can move on.
Yeah, that kind of thing happens. It's just people.
Sometimes you want to just throw everybody down the elevator shaft.
that too.
Yeah. It just, I see both sides. It's okay. We tried to do this recording a few maybe 30 minutes ago. And
yeah, this is the third attempt.
This is the third attempt, and really what was going on was that there were some kids playing outside of Davis's apartment, and they were making a ton of noise. Yeah.
It's like 40 degrees out, and why do all these kids have shorts on and short sleeves? I'm gonna sound old right now, but I'm just like, hey, don't make me call your moms.
Oh no!
Don't make me call.
You
get
almost
home.
did that. You
get home.
You did the thing where the adults will just stare at the kids and not even yell. They'll just stare, and maybe the kids will get the impression, oh, it's time to leave. This tall man is staring at me outside of his window.
It's getting to that point in life.
But don't you remember being the kid that was just destroying the neighborhood?
Yeah, you want to know something really fucked up that I did?
Yes, please. Yes.
I don't know why I did this. I don't know why me and an old friend of mine, we did this in one of the small towns back in Minnesota, Lake City. I hope to God that this person never listens to this podcast, because this will officially this might be a crime.
No one listens to this podcast, don't worry.
I would call it that's true. This might be what I would coin as a crop crime.
Crop crime.
Yeah. So I don't know why, but me and this friend were just walking around Lake City, Minnesota, bored, just trying to think of things to do. I don't know. We couldn't have been more than like 8 or something. But we happened upon this small bit of property. And this person has like a couple cornstalk rows. And we just decided that we're going to tear every single one of them down. And that's exactly what we did. We walked right into this very small crop field and just kicked all of them down for no reason.
So you destroyed this poor, hardworking farmer's crops.
Probably.
And he and his family, or they and their family had to starve to death because of you.
I mean, it was still an urban area.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a small area. But it was a small town, but it was still urban.
Urban crops.
Yeah, there was like a Burger King 2 blocks away, so they'll be fine.
So you made your neighborhood a food desert by destroying the only crops in the area.
Yeah, I mean, like it seemed like that the supply level of these corn stalks were probably only for themselves.
So, that makes it better.
Yeah, I don't think it was for, external distribution. So sorry.
You know those kid stories that you just bury deep down inside?
Yeah.
I am hesitant to share mine, because as soon as you take one out, just 5 more come out. After those 5, 10. Yeah. So I don't even want to. I'm a little cowardly in that way. I'm not going to share anything that I did. I was born when I was 26.
You're only 3 years old.
Yeah,
that's cute.
I was born a 26-year-old man.
You're very articulate for a 3-year-old. I just want to let you know that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So is this thing that you would share worse than the fact that I just destroyed somebody's potential livelihood here?
No, but whenever I try to think of a story, it's like, oh, here's this story, and then that's where I guess the first story that came to mind was, and this isn't even. Oh well, actually, yeah. There was this guy this old man two houses away from our apartment building, from my family, and he was just always so mean to everybody. And honestly, now that I think about it, he probably wasn't even just mean. I think I just wanted to, you have that curiosity as a kid. It's like, oh, I want to like hurt somebody.
No.
Just have some chaos.
I'm not chaos, but not
just
like hurting
pranking.
somebody.
Well, pranking. No,
so psychopaths are.
No,
more.
yeah. So there was this cat in the neighborhood that would that would poop everywhere. I had a stray cat. So like during the day,
did you kill this cat?
No, nothing like that. I collected some of the cat poop.
That's worse.
And you know how they would.
Why'd you do that?
Oh, here's why.
Who am I to judge?
Yeah, so
I destroy crops.
So in when people get the morning paper, it's usually in like a plastic bag.
Yeah.
And it's folded in this really thin plastic bag. So I took the cat poop and put it in the bag. And then
what's funny to me is like today you're kind of a germaphobe.
Yeah.
Like, and I completely understand why, but that's so out of character for you.
Well, kids, when you're a kid, you don't know anything.
Yeah, you don't have character.
Yeah, I would never handle cat poop today.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. But see, now it's gonna be hard to go to sleep tonight because now I'm gonna just think about all of the just dumb shit that I did when I was a kid.
Like you said, that's just what kids do. They do dumb shit.
One time when I was getting bullied by this kid named Aaron.
Fuck you,
we
Aaron.
were at this, fuck Aaron. And he's no, but, and,
what's his last name?
Oh, no. It's fucked
for
up.
research.
I know it. I know it, but I'm not going to say it.
Well, then for safety, because I don't want to get bullied by Aaron.
No, I could beat him up now. But no, so he just would bully me constantly, and we were all at this basketball court down the street from my school, and so I see his hoodie on like the side, the side of the court, and I just like it was a cold day and my nose was running, so I wiped my nose with his hoodie. I just did small dumb shit like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's good.
But you know what, like,
and like I'm guessing he didn't know.
No. And you know what? I would say as a kid, I did mischievous stuff, but just on the low.
That's some devious shit.
And whenever anyone would accuse me, other people, like adults, would say, "Oh, Romanus would never do that." But I would say 9 times out of 10, I probably did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids out there, number one rule: don't get caught. That's the number one thing.
And also, like, don't get possessed if you're a kid.
Oh, great segue.
Yeah. Getting like a possessed kid would probably just be like, because kids are basically always acting like they're possessed because they're just insane.
Like playing soccer.
Playing soccer at
PM.
7 at night. It's pitch black out, and all I can hear is screaming, and I'm like, yo. We need to get an Exorcist up in here. Stats. Take care of these people.
Very smooth transition, Davis.
Sure, if you say so. So I guess, we're here to talk about the Exorcist.
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Why not? I mean, we were gonna talk about Terrifier, but like, let's just talk about the Exorcist.
Were we gonna talk about Terrifier? Have you seen it?
I watched the second one for my first time the other day.
That movie is going crazy right now.
Yeah, it's been gaining a lot of popularity over time.
It made more money than Megalopolis.
Yeah, within the first week too.
But then again, so did your average McDonald's worker. So
that's true. Yikes,
dude! I love shitting on that movie.
That's gonna be a recurring thing in the future. Just the biggest flop of the century.
Oh yeah,
Megaflopolis. But I watched the second Terrifier the other day. I know for a fact you have not seen these movies.
No,
I don't even have to ask.
The Terrifier or the Murderer.
You wouldn't enjoy them whatsoever. I barely enjoy them.
Are they not good?
The second one wasn't bad.
Oh.
The first one was pretty mid, but I I'll be totally honest with you, though. It took me 3 days to get through the second one. That movie was long as shit for no reason. But
it's just a clown going around murdering.
Yeah,
people.
Literally. But I was
clown
just like
going around.
But it was like effectively mean-spirited.
Like racist or sexist?
It's not sexist, but it's
that's a great you know how they do the taglines at the beginning, like a preview?
Terrifier 2. Yeah. It's not sexist.
Terrifier 2.
Honestly,
it's a little racist. It's a little racist.
It's kind of racist.
Yeah, there's some Islamophobia.
Oh my god!
What a great indictment.
A great indictment. Yeah. Anyway, you don't need to watch it, but I get it if you just if you're going into a movie and you just want to see some of the most insane gore and violence you've ever seen in a movie, to the point where I'm just sitting there watching and I am looking away because I'm like, this is grotesque. This is so cold-blooded. I cannot believe that this is happening. And I understand why it's that movie, the second one is banned in some countries even. And I'm like, I'm watching this and I'm like, I get it. This took me 3 days to get through.
It's banned in well-developed countries. It's banned in first world countries.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah. No, but, I will say, as an outsider from the horror genre, there's a part of me that believes every movie is like what you said about Terrifier, that it's just gory and it makes no sense. And so
when it comes to horror,
it comes to horror, yeah. And so this week we're reviewing The Exorcist, and again, I'm thinking there's just going to be a ton of just bullshit gore and nothing else to it. Just a ton of people just excited to watch something that is supposed to make them scared. But there's a lot more to this movie than just the horror. And I'm going to have to say it gave me the feeling that very few movies have made me feel, which is it made me want to make a movie.
You know what? That is an exciting statement, and I just want to say to everybody, welcome back to our Loose Leaf Halloween specials. My name is Davis Leaf. I'm here with my co-host,
Pazuzu.
And if you haven't been able to detect this by now, we're about to talk about The Exorcist, and we are about to go in, because clearly both of us have a lot to say. And Romanus, I believe that you said the other day this was your first time seeing this movie.
First time, baby.
Okay, this is I have a little bit of a story I'm going to share about this later, but this is probably maybe my fourth or fifth time watching this in my life, and I am so excited to hear your full thoughts on what you felt about this movie, because when you say something as bold as this movie, a horror movie, a genre that everybody that's been listening to us for a while and you yourself have proclaimed you're not totally into this genre, so to get that feeling out of you, expand on that, please.
Yeah. I mean, first comes first, I was fucking terrified by this movie because it just plays on all of your maybe fears, especially when it comes to religion or as a parent. Maybe there's a lot of human emotions that this movie is playing on, and with different characters. But just from a film perspective, I will watch any movie in any genre when it is just a very well told story, when it's a good story. And this movie blew me away as far as the narrative is concerned, particularly with the main priest and the mother of this movie.
Those are, I mean, the acting is great in this movie. Ellen Bernstein is spectacular as the mother.
Jason Miller
gives one of the greatest acting performances on screen.
I would agree.
Ever. And Linda Blair too as Reagan.
Yeah.
Exceptional performance. And just an exceptional group of acting performances in this movie.
And when I talk about this movie makes me want to make a movie, The Exorcist just hits on so many levels. The acting, the casting, of course, the story, the cinematography, the storyboarding. There's a lot of just everything. A lot of the story takes place in this house, and I feel like I know the entire landscape of the house just from the imagination that the cinematographer and the director had.
You get that feeling so quickly too in this movie, and the movie is very, very, very much wants to establish its setting pretty quickly. And I think it's funny because it's like we're watching this movie and it's like, okay, Georgetown.
Yeah,
we live here. Yeah. Well, we don't live in Georgetown, but we live in this vicinity,
like 25 minutes away.
Exactly. And one of the things I always love to do anytime I go over to Georgetown is I just love to revisit the steps, the Exorcist steps. There's a plaque right at the bottom of the steps that kind of explains the film historical value of this location and what it means. And they're a lot steeper in person, and they're a lot longer in person than this movie almost depicts. And that's why they're also so substantial in the movie too, because of how steep they are and just the architecture of where these steps are placed in value in service of the story. But there's like so William Friedkin, who is one of the most influential, considered to be one of the more influential filmmakers of all time,
the French Connection,
and this is the only Friedkin film I've ever seen.
Have you seen The French Connection?
I have not seen The French Connection. Yeah.
You gotta see it.
I know. That's a blind spot in my...
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Never seen it. Never saw The Boys in the Band, I believe it was, too.
Sorcerer.
Yeah, and this is considered... I think this movie is part of, like, a certain trilogy, like a Devil's trilogy or something.
There's 3 Exorcist movies.
There are, like, but I believe that the third one, which is directed by the writer of the book and the screenplay for this movie, William Peter Blatty, was also the director for The Exorcist 3.
Yes.
Which I have seen, and it is also very good, too. Ironically, I actually have never seen the second Exorcist movie.
In research for The Exorcist, I saw Exorcist 2.
No kidding.
And I fell asleep.
Okay, yeah. I've heard not very favorable things. It's got like kind of a different title, too, doesn't it?
I don't remember. I thought it was just Exorcist 2.
I might be incorrect about that.
Exorcist 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo.
And Pazuzu says his name in the movie. I'm Pazuzu.
He says exactly that.
Yeah.
But William Peter Blatty is from the area as well, too. That's part of the reason why you can surmise that he places his setting here. A little bit easier to tell the story. But... yeah, there's so many exceptional technicalities in this movie. And when you were talking about storyboarding, I was noticing when I was rewatching this movie that how good the blocking in this movie is.
Oh, yeah.
It just feels like every scene is staged so well, where where characters need to be positioned, you know where they need to move next, because as you were kind of saying, the interior architecture of this house is so clear. So when something's happening, you kind of know where it's coming from or where a character is going to end up next. And it's just like such proficient blocking from William Friedkin in this movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's also important that they get that right, just because there's just anyone has that fear of being alone at home, especially in a big house, especially if maybe you're a person who is living alone with your daughter and you're constantly like just at any noise, you're gonna search on it just to make sure. If you see a window cracked open, you're gonna close it. Like, just, you know, the layout of this house so good that you're almost you
feel as confined as everybody else does in this situation for that reason, because it's like you can't really go anywhere because of what Ellen Bernstein's character, what's her name in the movie? Chris McNeil. Yeah, Chris McNeil. And she's an actor in the movie too. I completely forgot about that character quality in this movie.
She was like in a movie at the beginning of The Exorcist.
She's taken a role that's being filmed on the Georgetown campus. And I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing, because I'm like, I love it when like movies also have to have some sort of element of the movie industry existing in them, and it's like, it's not really like the biggest deal in this story.
No,
it's just who her character is. But that's also why this movie works so well too, is because it does not establish itself as a horror movie for quite some time into the movie.
Yeah, I kept looking in the movie, just, you know, looking at the timestamp in the movie, like, when is the horror gonna happen?
Yeah.
And there's some scary stuff, there's some unsettling things, like the window constantly, you know, being cracked open and just a ton of wind blowing, or, you know, hearing footsteps in the attic.
Yeah.
But only an hour into this movie does stuff really take off.
Yeah, and there's an eeriness to like that first like 15 to 20 minutes of the movie where it's like showcasing Max von Sydow's character, the Exorcist himself.
Yeah,
a little bit
Father Marin.
Yes, a little bit of his background as he's like he's in Iraq?
He's in Iraq.
Yeah.
By the way,
he's on a
my
mission trip in
favorite
Iraq.
sequence in the movie.
That opening.
It looks fucking fantastic.
It looks so good, doesn't it?
I kept checking, like, am I watching like Exorcist 2010?
Right. Yeah.
Like it was shot so
for a
pristine.
movie. Yeah, for a movie in 1973. I'm like, this looks way better, and it's so much more proficient than so many movies I see today.
And he's wearing old makeup, like Max von Sydow. I don't know how old he was in 73, but he was younger. Like he's still alive.
Yeah.
And so
no, I'm pretty sure he died recently, I think.
Okay, but he died recently though.
Yeah, he did die very recently.
But they in the movie he's supposed to be older, so they use old makeup on him.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah,
because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, has Max von Sydow just been old for 50 years?
No, but I felt that way when I was thinking about this, and I was like, damn, I don't think I've ever seen Morgan Freeman look young in a movie.
No, I don't think I have either.
Maybe
I mean, his career didn't really start until I think like Driving Miss Daisy or something.
Well, I've seen when
he really took off with Shawshank.
The youngest I've seen was in Lean on Me. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I know of it, but I've never seen it.
But other than that, I mean, he played a middle-aged principal. So
okay, interesting.
But
I have seen like images from that. Yeah,
that's a great fucking movie. If you ever want to
cry. Should I check that out?
I mean, it's not mandatory, but I'm saying if you ever want to cry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that though about Max von Sydow.
Yeah, they used older makeup.
And that is magnificent.
Yeah, and the setting is just so amazing because it is just building up to this moment where Max von Sydow, who is just a part of this excavation, and he gets this little trinket that is a statue of this devil called Pazuzu. And just in that sequence, while he's in Iraq, it builds up to him saying that he has to leave and go back to the States. And
I love that last shot of him in Iraq, and then there's that dissolve that happens.
Yeah,
it looks so good.
Well, he turns around and he's facing a giant statue of Pazuzu.
Yeah, and
the final shot is just, you know, him and Pazuzu in the same shot, and they're having a face off like two boxers, and it's basically
like foreshadowing this third act of the movie.
Yeah,
because he doesn't return until like the last 30 minutes of the film,
which also was fucking shocking. I was like, when did we get into this point? But
because it's such a slow building movie, it's building all of that tension up, and it's just it's based like, because it doesn't establish itself as a horror movie till, like you said, about an hour into the movie. Really, it's a story about how the ordinary can become so arbitrary without any explanation whatsoever, and the movie continues to be very devoid of an explanation. Like when it comes down to it, it's like it's kind of like alluded to. Reagan at one point is playing with his Ouija board in the basement, and then that's how Pazuzu was able to possess her in some capacity. But it's very subtle, and the movie doesn't linger on that.
No,
it's not interested in doing that because it's about this very arbitrary situation that almost nobody in the entire story can make any sense of, the priests included.
Yeah, and I would say that the first hour feels almost like a mystery movie where it's just this mother.
It's like
Chris McNeil.
It's a family drama though too.
It's a family drama, half mystery. Chris McNeil trying to figure out what's wrong with her daughter Reagan McNeil when she's having just sudden outbursts. She's, you know, peeing on herself. They're, you know, just, you know, talking in a deep ass voice. It is
saying things that no ordinary young girl would say.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. Yeah. Well, if we can, I know.
I mean, I don't know if we'll repeat some of the phrases because it's fucking it's fucking sinister in this movie.
I don't know if we're gonna repeat some of these things. It's fucking terrible. No, I agree with you. That was one thing, is that this movie, even though it was made in 1973, there's some stuff in this movie that's still shocking. There's something that this little girl does with the crucifix I don't even.
Yeah, we like.
Oh, okay,
we don't
okay,
have to like for anybody that hasn't seen this movie. Like, this is one of like the best first watches you can possibly have for a horror film, too, especially during this time of year. So
why not?
The less said about like those little details, the better.
Okay.
But
well, then we won't get into too many spoilers.
No.
But
like, there's still plenty to say about this movie without getting into spoilers, which is great about it.
So the first half of this movie, it just feels like a giant mystery where Chris, this mother, is trying to figure out what's wrong with her daughter. Seems sick. She's taking her to all these doctors and physicians and psychologists, and they even try like hypnotism at some point, right?
Like psychology,
because
psychology is a huge component of the story as well, about how the Catholic Church has had to adapt to psychology over time instead of just blind faith, essentially,
right?
And incorporate that scientific element. And that's part of like the exorcism. The reason that Father Karras is a part of the exorcism at the end of the movie is because he's a licensed psychologist for the Catholic Church, but also, a father. So
and let's start talking about Father Karras, because I want to get to a point where we begin to talk about where Father Karras' story and Regan McNeil's story meets, because
where they start to overlap.
Exactly, because even that part of the movie, you keep cutting back to Father Karras, and they don't meet until a midpoint into the movie,
because he's got his own like side story, and it's just about him, his life, and like this crisis of faith that he's having.
Yeah, he has recently lost his mother, and it's okay to say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he's recently lost his mother, and she had to die alone, and he feels just very guilty because he feels like he's abandoned her. And so he has this crisis of faith because of this very real and human tragedy that we are all eventually gonna feel. We're all gonna lose somebody that we love, and this guilt just drives this priest to not even believe in God anymore. And so by the time that he meets Chris McNeil, who's trying to see if Father Karras knows how to heal her daughter, he's even questioning, like, are you sure that she's possessed? Like, I don't know. And it's the realization of Father Karras that Regan is actually possessed is so just rewarding.
Yeah.
The
way that he like conducts all of these different kinds of tests, in order to like figure out for himself, is this really happening? And then it's also a slow build-up of like 2 or 3 sequences before he actually takes it to his superior in the Catholic Church,
right?
And he's just like, it's hard to say if this is the case, but he's not saying no,
right?
And he's not just, and like, because they ask him, it's just like, do you think this girl is possessed? And he's just like, I can't tell, I can't say. And I'm like, there's a fear that comes from that, where even this person who is so against it. And I think what's interesting about the concept of exorcisms in this film too is that it's introduced as such a fresh concept too, because Father Karras kind of explains how the Catholic Church doesn't conduct those types of procedures, I guess I would say, and how it's very archaic for them to have to do something like that. And when you think about those concepts today, like the term exorcism almost is like a buzzword sometimes when you think of horror. Like, because when a lot of people think of supernatural horror, a lot of people will go to certain concepts like an exorcism or something like that. And so this movie, for that term in and of itself, popularized a phrase that's very commonly heard today for people that are involved in like horror literature or horror film. And I love the way the movie even just introduces that concept, explains that concept, gives a historical background to it, and then integrates it into the story by the third act. And it's 2 hours just building up, really, to that third act.
Yeah.
But every scene up to that point is still just as scary and rewarding, because it's always tension throughout that movie. Because you're watching a horror movie, and like you were saying, you're sitting there wondering, when is the horror going to really begin? And then when it begins, it's disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good day for an exorcism.
Yeah, right.
No, it's a breathtaking movie. It just fires on every cylinder that a movie can.
Absolutely.
And like I said, it made me want to shoot my own movie.
Right.
It made me want to write. It made me want to learn about
it's
movie making.
very well written.
It is
like the way that Blatty adapts his own novel. It's just like because I've never read the book, but the dialogue is so rich in this movie too.
Yeah,
like listening to characters exchange with one another and try to make sense of the situation. I love some of the scenes. There's like a really good shot where Chris McNeil is sitting in a room at a table, and it's like 10 other doctors surrounding on there, and they're just for the millionth time trying to come up with a new conclusion as to what's happening to Regan. And she's just, having a psychotic episode, as she should at this point, because it's like there's 10 of you in this fucking room. Not a single one of you can tell me what's going on with her. And it's like, it's emotionally riveting. And at the same time, it's just like so well shot that really understands the scope and the lengths that she's going to figure this out for herself and to make sense of it. And there's such a great purity in the relationship between Regan and her mother in this movie, because there are characters that are established as very loving for one another and very healthy, and it's nice. It's nice, and so it makes it all the more heartbreaking when you see Regan experiencing this and the mother having to deal with the fallout of everything that's going on and can't figure out anything that's going on within reason. It's
that's an excellent point, because it also it frustrates the audience when no one else is listening to Chris either, right? Listening to the mother either. When she's talking about how there's something wrong with her daughter. We know how close they are, and we know what Regan is like when she's normal, and we know that we know that there's something wrong with her. We know that there's this demon possessing her, but they're doing every test, like medical procedures.
What's funny is every single time she ends up like in like one of the X-ray machines or something, it's funny because it just always feels more and more expensive. Yeah, there's just like you see all of these huge machines that they're like hooking her up to and like examining her with, and it's just like it happens like 3 times that she goes through this where they try new procedures and it's just and like new examinations, and it just like you can feel like the expense of it all even. Yeah, where it's just like she's getting like some of the best care in the world for Regan done right now, and they cannot figure anything out. Yeah, and it's heartbreaking for that reason, because she's putting everything into figuring this out, and none of these people can do it.
Maybe that's
and she's only getting worse.
I love this movie. That's amazing, because it's the only rational way that a person could think, oh yeah, we need an exorcist. Like when we've tried everything that modern medicine can provide, and nothing is working. Like this actress who is wealthy and lives in this wealthy part of DC, who can afford all of these medical interventions to help her daughter out, and nothing is working. She's desperate. All she can do is go to the Catholic Church and try an exorcism, right? Like it is just fucking brilliant.
And how many movies, like in so many movies in horror, have tried to kind of like interpret that type of story so many times, especially when it comes to an exorcism, where it's just like we can't make sense of this. We can't think irrationally about this though for that reason. And then it's just like, but you can like the first time that she meets with Father Karras in the movie, you just can see she's exhausted and drained and so emotionally compromised. It's about as horrifying as the actual horror elements of this movie. And because it's just like you see this kind-hearted mother and very, very well-established actress, and she's just so defeated, and it's so sad to see, because there's the core of this movie also is a family drama as well too. It's just about a mother trying to get her daughter back, and watching it just completely unravel and get worse and worse, and seeing how Regan is becoming encapsulated by this demon. It's hard to watch, but at the same time, it's just like it's interesting to watch that dichotomy between the rational side and the supernatural side of this.
There's one scene in this movie, we're not getting into spoilers, so I'll just describe it. Regan is attacking her mom for one of the first times in the movie, I know. And there's the shot when Chris is just on the ground and Regan's in the bed, and it's from Regan's perspective where Chris is just looking up at her daughter.
Yep.
And the horror on her face is just so palpable. They killed in this movie.
Yeah.
This might be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Like,
now that I'm talking about it,
it's
like this,
because it's also just effectively shocking as a horror movie. You'll see things in this movie that cannot be replicated because it's so messed up and so disturbing that it would have to be a demon that's doing all of this stuff.
And this is a perfect segue to something slightly related that I want to talk about.
Oh, exciting.
After I watched this movie, I had to research just the production because I just was so interested, like, oh, why did they do this? There's a ton of shots where there's a lot of detail in the background, like even like when Reagan is being interviewed by the psychiatrist or whatever, and her right arm is up, just like the Pazuzu statue.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm noticing stuff and I'm thinking, oh man, I gotta research everything. I gotta go one of those.
You got to that point, you're like, oh my God, this is so meticulous. I gotta look everything up about it.
What I did find out is this director, Friedkin, he really drove these people fucking crazy to make this movie.
I'm sure.
He just the stuff that I was reading about, for him to make this movie so brilliant and to bring out these great performances, he had to become his worst self, probably.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Reagan vomits on someone.
Yep.
And
iconic moment.
It's very iconic.
This movie has so many like iconic moments that have been like parodied or reinterpreted in different cinemas, like the vomit or the head turning.
Head turning, for sure. So Reagan is vomiting on someone, and the way that they practiced the shot was that the vomit was like pea soup, right? It's not actual vomit. And so it was pea soup, and it was supposed to come on the actor's shirt, the other actor's shirt. And it's okay. They've practiced it a few times. It comes on the shirt. Okay. Now, action. The director directs Reagan to actually vomit the soup on the actor's face. And so when you see the shot, it's actual shock that, I was expecting this fake, this soup to just be on my shirt, but it's actually on my face. Just like
but the way it's played off,
it's
incredible stuff. Because you can just sense that everybody's just like they're in character,
right?
Because it's like when you watch the evolution of Linda Blair's character as Regan throughout the movie, she becomes this demon. By the third act, you're just like amazed that this performance is being gotten out of a child actor as well.
She even fractured her back in one scene where. Well, I won't say it, but she fractured her back. I think
I can guess.
You probably can. If you've seen the movie, you probably know. Ellen Bernstein also had a back injury from one scene. People were injuring themselves.
Yeah.
The director slapped Jason Miller for one shot. I don't know why, but I forget the exact scene. But
that's crazy.
It was bad.
Yeah.
In this movie, as the possession becomes more pronounced, Reagan's bedroom gets colder, right?
Yes.
So they actually were shooting each scene as it progressively gets colder in a refrigerator, in a freezer box.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
seamless.
To negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine being an actor working in those conditions. Because they're not changing their clothes, right? Like, this is fall DC.
It's just normal clothes.
Yeah.
And then you're getting pea soup shot in your face.
Yeah.
And it's just like negative 20 degrees in there. It's just like, oh, God, now I got to go run my clothes under the sink.
Yeah. It is a wonderful movie. I do admire the craziness.
I mean, for a crazy movie, you can only imagine that it's just like it had to have been this crazy behind the set too.
Oh yeah,
and I believe that this was also kind of one of those movies like I don't know, like The Shining or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that when it had come out, it wasn't nearly as well received on initial release.
Right,
but it is still the very first horror movie to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Because that is still a pretty common discrimination practice for the Academy. And because they don't like horror movies and they don't like to acknowledge them.
You mean Terrorizer 2 isn't going to win Best Picture?
No.
Is it Terrorizer or Terrifier?
Terrifier.
Okay. Well, Terrorizer 2 and Terrifier 2.
Well, they're on Terrifier 3 now.
Oh, so Terrorizer 2 and Terrifier 3.
Terrorizer, yeah.
Terrorizer.
They changed the title just to confuse people.
No, I thought these were different movies, though. It's different franchises. Terrorizer.
The fuck is Terrorizer?
The Terrorizer franchise. And then there's the Terrifier franchise. You didn't know that?
Nope.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Something tells me you're making this up, but I don't have any evidence to disprove you, so,
I'm sure there's a movie called The Terrorizer.
Are you kidding me? There's definitely...
You want to make a horror movie?
Yeah.
What do you want to make it about?
Terrorizing people.
The Terrorizer. And it should be a clown.
Yeah. A clown, yeah.
A clown.
A silent clown.
Yeah.
Who basically just mimes everything.
What is it about clowns that scares people? Because for The Exorcist, the devil is a figure in a lot of different religions. Mm-hmm. And so you can understand how that is just immediately scary for a lot of people. But what about clowns is scary to people?
I don't know. To be totally honest, I don't know.
I'm sure I could find something to read.
There's definitely. It's clown. A fear of clowns is considered one of, if not the most common fear that people have.
I have a fear of large body of waters.
Large bodies of water.
Large bodies of water.
Large-bodied water.
The hash-slinging slasher.
There's a fear for kind of large things. What is it? Megalophobia or something? Something like that.
Yeah, that's with the stuff like Cthulhu and stuff.
What?
Cthulhu, the Lovecraft monster.
Okay.
Just the idea of something being so big
that it makes it imposing.
Yeah, you feel meaningless.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like that about the ocean. The siren shit. I actually just I get it. I understand. If you're just staring out into the ocean, you just want to take a step in there.
I have what?
I don't know.
I was about to relate to you and say that I have the same fear, but
no,
you took it somewhere.
I did.
That's weird, man.
It took.
Stay away from large bodies of water for a while.
I do.
Good.
Yeah.
That's why you live on the East Coast.
Exactly.
Keyword coast.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Exorcist. For your information, yes, I would love to make a horror movie. So we can talk about that at some point.
Okay.
I wanted to also give kind of a shout out to a lot of the sound design in this movie.
Oh
too.
my god, just the entire production.
All the we can go all day about the technicalities. Even from the editing of just those few times where you get the single frame of Pazuzu's face, it's just a blink and you'll miss a moment, but it's so brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Or even in the final scenes during the exorcism scenes where the Pazuzu face is actually on Reagan's face. They
kind of synthesize it right there, so it's right. Yeah, it's
face matching, maybe
creepy ass stuff. Or I think it's compositing.
Yes, face composite.
Yeah, they composited it right onto her face, but it's disturbing, creepy stuff, but seamless at the same time. The technical wizardry of a 1973 movie like this is pretty spectacular, and it's you watch this movie and it's you can see why this is so popular. Yeah, because this is really, really good, even especially by today's standards. Where it's if this would be great today if it was released. It's so fresh and original. But the sound design in this movie, unbelievable stuff, unbelievable work. Just the sounds that she's making, her vocal effects. Ugh.
They actually got a very famous voice actress for the voice of Pazuzu, the possession. Yeah, and so how she would prepare for each scene, I'm not making this up, by the way. She would smoke a ton of cigarettes, drink a ton of sodas, and just make her voice just so scratchy and demonic. Yeah, it's
good because it sounds otherworldly but natural coming out of somebody's mouth, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's coming from a person, but it doesn't sound like a person is saying it, if that makes sense.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's coming from the voice of a little girl, especially, right?
But it sounds like it still sounds like it's coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
it just doesn't sound like it's her talking in a way that like it's creepy, and it's very, very well edited.
Yeah.
But
Mercedes McCambridge.
What's her name?
Mercedes McCambridge, the voice actress for The Exorcist.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Shout out.
She's dead now, but yeah, shout out to
her,
Miss McCambridge.
Very good voice performance there. Yeah, I can't honestly praise like the acting is so good in this movie. Like Ellen Bernstein's so great, but like Jason Miller again, just unbelievably great performance. Just so good. So are there any other details that you kind of picked up on watching this movie for your first time?
There's a few. I mean, there's some really obvious ones, like at the beginning where Father Marin is talking to his friend in Iraq in his office, and then he's looking out the window, and the grandfather clock is ticking, and then the pendulum of the grandfather clock just stops. Yeah,
this is why I love because also this movie, like there's an iconic like score in this movie, but the score is very withdrawn from this movie for most of its scenes.
Yeah,
where it's just like there's that classic like ding 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 that plays like at one point and one pivotal point in the movie when I think it's Chris McNeil is walking back to her house in Georgetown, and that's like one of only 2 moments where they play that theme, but otherwise there's really not a score in this movie at all.
Yeah,
it's so withdrawn and without one. And when scenes like that, which there's a lot of scenes like that happen where like you can hear the grandfather clock in the background ticking, and then we get a insert shot of the clock and it's just stopped, you just feel some sort of presence causing that. And it's very eerie, and it works so well to have that score be withdrawn for that reason, because it only heightens all of the fear and tension throughout the entire movie. And it's really good sound work, but it's also good restraint on the part of William Friedkin as a director too, to not incorporate a large score throughout the movie, because it doesn't need it. Again, it makes everything in the movie feel more ordinary and arbitrary at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to think about it. Like everything in this movie is just a build up to the final exorcism, including the score where when Father Marin is getting out of the taxi and you see that like very iconic exorcism poster, that shot. That's when that song is coming on, right? It's like, okay,
no, it doesn't play at that scene at all.
When does it play?
It plays at the in the first act of the movie when Chris McNeil is walking back to her house. Yes. It's like at a really random spot, and I used to think that too. That
what
it plays.
What am I thinking of?
I can tell you exactly what you're thinking of. They parody. Have you ever seen the movie Master of Disguise?
Yes.
They parody that moment when the grandfather shows up at Dana Carvey's house in Master of Disguise, and he gets out of the taxi, and they replicate that shot from The Exorcist, and they play that theme when that shot happens.
I'm embarrassed that I saw the movie, but we were kids when that movie came out.
We were kids, yeah.
At the height of Dana Carvey's career.
So it's weird that I always remember that moment from Master of Disguise.
The another detail. So when I saw Pazuzu's statue, it's basically this demon with a snake tail / penis, and then it has wings. There's a lot of animals and just drawn with wings, like lions with wings and birds. And in Reagan's bedroom, the bedroom window is constantly open, and her mother is constantly having to just close the door. Close the window, and it's just giving me this feeling that Pazuzu just keeps flying in, like
interesting imagery,
like just invading this child's bedroom. It's just, this movie's very invasive in that way.
It is, and that's another reason why like having that score be withdrawn is so effective too, because it's all in the imagination of what's happening.
Yeah.
Because there are so many pivotal moments where like they could have had a score note kick in or something, and the movie just never chooses to do that. Like I talked about that grandfather clock moment where the movie's more interested in just kind of like letting the sound work do its thing.
Yeah.
But also that moment with the Ouija board, they could have like cut to it like a dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. He's manipulating everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's all arbitrary. It's this movie's kind of slice of life. And then this
in a weird way, sure.
And then this shit just happens to these people.
Yeah.
And they have to rely on the Catholic Church when like medicine has failed them to figure out what's going on because it's not medical. It's supernatural.
Yeah. Wow, what a wonderful movie.
What an incredible movie. And
I'm never going to see it again, but
you don't think you can rewatch
hell
this?
No. The fuck?
It's so good though. I finished this movie and I was immediately like, damn, I'm watching that again right now because that was good.
No, when I finished it, I tried to go to bed, and big mistake number one, right? I left my closet door open, and I was just staring, like I kept looking up, just kept waking up out of my sleep. I could not get a good night's rest.
Sure.
So, to relax myself sometimes, it's good to know what makes you feel better when you're feeling anxious.
Yeah. I'll
tell you what I do when I'm feeling fucked up. Like I can't even just concentrate. I can only see Pazuzu. I watch Marco Pierre White cooking videos. He's the teacher of Gordon Ramsay, and it's like on YouTube there's these like
that's wholesome. And delicious.
It's these 6-minute videos of him cooking, and it's from the standpoint of these are just simple recipes that you can cook at your home. And so we're not chefs today. We're just home cooks.
Yeah.
Make it how you want to make it. The taste, I'm adding these spices, but add a little less, add a little more. It's up to your taste. It's okay. And he's just so calming and so carefree that I was able to get 2 hours of sleep.
Nice. Oh, wow.
No, because
that grounded you at least.
It did. It made me okay. I also listen to Radiohead when I'm anxious.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
because the minute I hear everything in its right place, I feel unnerved. I feel very unnerved.
You know what I listen to?
Are you kidding me? I love Radiohead, but I'm just like, I wouldn't really call that the most comforting.
No, I actually everything in its right place. Probably not gonna listen to but I listen to Nude from In Rainbows.
Okay,
and
great album.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Honestly,
from my childhood.
most of their music is spectacular, from Kid A and Rainbows.
Motion picture soundtrack.
15 Step up. 15
Steps. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Tom York. Tom York is just a genius.
I will say Mixing Mitosis is a song that will fuck me up. Like if I listen to Mixing Mitosis, then I would have. That's a Cthulhu song.
Okay.
Maybe we should rescore The Exorcist in Radiohead.
You know, they're doing a showing of the original Nosferatu film with Kid A from Radio.
Yes.
Because it's a silent film, and they're going to be playing that score or that soundtrack over that movie.
Oh, Mixing Mitosis is from Kid A, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be fucking dope.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of want to see. I'm trying to see that. But it's on a day at work.
I've always wanted to rescore certain movies.
That'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
I think it's funny that you're talking about trying to sleep because. You remember I mentioned I had a little bit of a story to share about this movie.
I got a story to tell.
Yes. So this is no way like a film that got me into horror whatsoever because like I've said on here, like I understand why you don't love horror because I didn't start getting into horror until like the very early 2010s because I was also I was scared of horror movies. And so when my mother was a kid, she loves this movie. This is one of her favorite movies of all time. Like it's definitely her favorite horror movie.
You're a beautiful mother.
Yeah.
Who has a gorgeous smile, and one of her favorite movies is The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it. She's maybe she's a little internally demented. I don't know. But
my God,
if she is,
we love you, Mom.
Yeah,
we love you.
We love you, Mom. But like if she is, then I'm worse because I probably have watched a lot more different forms of horror than her.
Like Terrorizer 2.
Yes, like Terrorizer 2. She also loves foreign horror though a lot though too. Which
like Korean.
Yeah, like Japanese horror.
Yeah.
Like she loves Swedish horror.
Swedish horror.
We watched a Swedish horror film a couple weeks ago.
What are they afraid about?
Let's not even get into it.
Okay.
But
what they got to fear?
Well, everything there is dark and cold. I don't know.
Oh.
My family is Swedish.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The
like,
fuck?
I think my grandpa's like almost 100% Swedish or something.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry to shit on your people.
I don't care.
Oh.
What my people?
You just said your family's Swedish.
Yeah, I can't go into this right now.
Okay.
I can't.
How the fuck am I?
I can't go into how adoption works with you right now.
Oh well. Okay.
I'm not adopted.
Oh. Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh.
I could.
None of us know.
I could be.
I don't remember. Well.
I don't remember my ethnic identity either.
I could be lied to. What is I think my first memory is I was probably 2. That's 2 years when I don't know shit.
Isn't that interesting?
Not really. It's all everybody.
It's like we wouldn't have. But what would we have done with those 2 years?
Nothing.
Yeah, literally.
Especially now. Yeah, I mean,
why the fuck are we talking about this?
I don't know.
So, this is probably my mom's favorite horror movie.
Okay.
And probably one of her favorite movies of all time. But here's her history with it. She was at my grandfather's house, her father's, and she was downstairs. That's where they had the TV. Mm-hmm. And she was in the basement. I don't know what year this was. I'm guessing it was probably the early 80s or something. Okay. But she's downstairs. She falls asleep on the couch in front of the TV, and then she wakes up in the middle of the night, and The Exorcist is on TV, and it's just starting. And it's kind of like a car crash where you're watching something absolutely horrifying, but for whatever reason, you can't look away. Mm-hmm. And so there she is, watching 2 hours of The Exorcist, the entirety of it, petrified out of her mind, way too scared to even get up and turn off the TV. Mm-hmm. So she just sits there and watches all the way through it. And then was traumatized for a very long time. But like any good person who has trauma, she decided to tap into it a little bit and understand the reasons why. So she kept watching this movie throughout her life until she loved it.
Yeah, just keep going back to that trauma, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, keep revisiting it.
It always works.
Keep revisiting your trauma, and eventually you'll embrace it.
Or if you just anything.
I actually mean that.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the real lesson to your anecdote, and we appreciate you for sharing it, is that to deal with anything that life is throwing at you, just watch The Exorcist a ton of times, and then it'll all go away. All that trauma.
You'll eventually be like, well, no matter what my trauma is,
yeah,
at least that wasn't me.
Honestly, yeah, I kind of agree.
Right?
Yeah. The fuck?
The fuck?
I don't know. I don't think my mom would have gone through all of that to heal me. I think I'd still be in that fucking bed strapped down if I was possessed by the devil.
That's the smart decision.
Yeah, abandon your kid if they're possessed by the devil, man.
What I think is funny about the way that black people have always been depicted as in horror is we've always been kind of historically depicted as the dumber ones who make the dumber decisions and are always gonna die at some point. When the reality of the situation is we would be the first ones out that bitch. If we would not stick around to see what's happening.
If the character,
the minute Reagan says something weird,
it'd be a fucking 10-minute movie.
Everybody's in the car already and driving off just good luck.
It would be just 15 minutes.
Can I just say how proud I am of you for coming on this journey through horror this month for Halloween time? You've been trying some new stuff.
I did think about quitting the pod when I was watching Exorcist.
Not worth it.
I was so scared. I was like, why the fuck am I doing this shit, man? What the fuck is wrong with me, man?
That's kind of amazing.
No, I mean, I just was like, I have to tell Davis, I can't do this anymore.
Can we just watch Jingle All the Way and start Christmas early?
You know what I was gonna say? Let's watch one of the Madea Boo movies. You need a real palate cleanser. I need a chaser. Yeah,
that's fair.
But no, I think the next movie is what? The Birds?
Yeah, we're gonna do the Birds.
Yeah, very Halloween.
Yeah, gonna do a little Alfred Hitchcock. Get a little Alfred Hitchcock therapy in.
Oh yeah.
We're doing good. We're hitting some good bases.
Hitchcock coming at ya.
That's how you sound.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine.
I enjoyed that.
Okay.
I enjoyed The Exorcist.
All right.
No, but for real though, this was this was fun. I'm glad that we reviewed The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It is a classic. I think it's terrific. I think it's one of the greatest horror movies of all time, which is not an unpopular opinion whatsoever. But if you haven't seen this movie, watch The Exorcist. It's scary. It's very well written. It's very well directed. It's very well acted, and it is just a complete classic. So what are you doing? Hop off this pod. Go check out The Exorcist if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, go watch it again. It's Halloween, and this is a great Halloween time movie to watch. Mm-hmm. It's very fall. It's so fall. It just feels like that time of year, you know? So go check it out. Mm-hmm. And we always appreciate everybody listening to all of our bullshit on this podcast because we enjoyed doing this, and this has been fun. Mm-hmm. So as always, if anybody has any other recommendations of something that we'd like to quickly fit into our very limited schedule now that we're a couple weeks away from Halloween, and even though we definitely won't get to it, even if you suggest it anyway, you can do that at our... Can you tell them the email?
Our email is looseleafmedia95@gmail.com. That is looseleafmedia95@gmail.com.
And with all that, thank you as always for tuning into this. This has been another Loose Leaf Halloween special. My name is Davis Leaf. I did this with my co-host,
Pazuzu.
And we will see you next week for Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Take care, everybody, and happy Halloween.
Bye, guys.